It's our reality, just your average family, trying to be normal and stay out of trouble, living a double life.
What's up? Today we got Thurman's Season 2, Episode 13, The Never-Friending Story. This episode starts off at the Thunder House, where we see Max and his friends are laughing, only to see Phoebe and her friend. Max asks Phoebe what she's doing there, and Phoebe says they were going to watch a movie. Max says, not on this couch, oyster, launch mode. And Gideon says, what's launch mode? As they throw Gideon onto the couch. Gideon says, Max could have just called dibs. Max says, looks like you girls are going to have to watch TV somewhere else. Then Phoebe says, you boys may have the remote. They may have the couch, but they have the remote. Max says, keep the remote. They're out of there. Max says his friends don't want to hang out with her friend. But it's revealed that both Max and Phoebe's friends are sitting on the couch together, watching TV, telling Max and Phoebe just shush. Oyster says he still wants to see Zombie Brain in 3D. Cherry says she does too. Some girl they go to school with saw it and she had nightmares ever since. Phoebe says that was her. Kelsey says they should all go see together. Oyster says sweet jizz, and Max says not sweet shit. Phoebe, he's seen the movie, he's seen her friends, and he's not a fan of either. Phoebe says none of them should go. Some girl got pink eye from the 3 glasses, and guess what? It was also Phoebe, because Cherry says there's a 7 o'clock showing. Oyster says that's perfect. Gideon says he has an early cricket match, and they all look at him, and Gideon says, you heard what he said. They leave. Max says they can't have their friends hanging out together. They already share everything out. A couch, a house, a family, a birthday. Phoebe says, Phoebe, you're everywhere. Phoebe says, it's just a movie. Max says, no, it's a movie. Then it becomes a group. Next thing you know, they're finding out who has the longest arms so they could take a group selfie. Phoebe says, it's always her. And Max says, is that what she wants, to be for her and Max to be a part of the same group? Then we get a flash forward of Max and Phoebe and their friends as old people, still being a part of the same group. Yeah, this becomes a running joke, and shocker, it's not funny. Spoiler alert, it's not funny. They do it twice, and they do it twice in the episode, and by the second time, I was already bored of it. By the second time they do this flash forward joke, I was already bored. So yeah. So Phoebe says, this has to stop now. They're sharing the same nightmare, and Phoebe leaves. After the opening, at the Thunder House, Nora says, now riding a bike with no brakes and no loose handlebars, it's Billy Thunderman. Billy's about to do a stunt when Barb stops him and Billy says he's waiting all his life to do, and then Barb says to stop him from going to the emergency room. Hank tells Billy to stop away from the bike, and the bike falls apart. Nora says, it would have been cooler if Billy was on it. Billy says, I know, they never get to do anything. And Hank says, you're alive and you're welcome. Nora says, come on, maybe there's a can they can kick outside. Barb tells him to be careful, but I'm like, Barb, it's a can. Yeah. And Billy and Nora leave. Phoebe walks in and asks Max if he's ready to go to the movies to make sure their friend doesn't become friends. Max says, don't call them their friends. He has his friends, and Phoebe has her giggle buddies. Phoebe tells Barb and Hank that she and Max are leaving. Hank says they aren't forgetting something. Max says wallet, keys, phone, his boyish charms. Nope, they're going. Which was kind of funny, and I love Max for it. Hank says, you're not going anywhere. It's his and Barb's date night. And Barb says, Phoebe and Max are babysitting Billy and Nora. And Phoebe says, why? I know why, but why? Okay, yeah. But Hank and Barb leave before Phoebe. They just say see ya before they can even tell them why they can't babysit. Phoebe's like, do you know if they babysit, their social lives will be over. And Hank says, better Phoebe and Max than him and Barb, and they leave. Okay, first time I'll ever say this. I love Hank. That's the first time I'll ever say it because that was the only time Hank's ever said anything funny on this show. The other times it's only Max has been funny because Jack Griffith was just a comedic actor. Jack Griffith should get into comedies if he's that funny. I know Jack Griffith has his own. I know Jack Griffith has his own band and releases albums, but he should be a comedian. This dude's hilarious on this show. Yeah, Hank tells Barb to run, and they leave, telling Phoebe and Max to be careful. Meanwhile, in Max's lair, Billy asks Max if they can play tag with his rocket on the old wooden bridge. Max says, sure. Why don't you hitchhike there and get a tattoo on the way back? They say yes. Max says, no, stop fooling around. Nora says, someone's starting to sound like Barb. And Max says, is he, Nora? Is he? Phoebe asks Max how they're going to stop their friends from becoming friends if they're stuck at home. Phoebe says she texted Cherry to ditch the boy and then autocorrect to ditch the bosses. Max says, that makes no sense. And Phoebe says, you know what makes less sense? Is that Cherry texted back, Dunzo. Max says, well, she's been talking gibberish. He's been working on this first. Max will take over 2 satellites. Then that will disrupt their communication, so they'll lose each other's phone numbers. Phoebe says, can't they just ask for each other's phone numbers again? And Colosso says, Phoebe's right. And Max says, one more word, Colosso, and I'll freeze you. Colosso says, Phoebe says they can just freeze Billy and Nora and go to the movies and separate their friends. So, of course, they freeze Billy and Nora. But here's a major problem with Phoebe's plan. She completely, for some reason, because of plot reasons, completely forget that Nora has heat vision. So she does the entire episode thinks that Nora is just frozen the entire time they're at the movies. Which is, again, dumb. So the entire episode she talks about how they'll just, once they're done their mission, they'll just go home and freeze Billy and Nora. Phoebe, did you completely forget that the girl has heat vision? Obviously, we later see that Nora does unheat herself with her laser vision, but for some reason, Phoebe completely forgot that. Either because one of the writers forgot this when they wrote this into the story, or 2, because it's just a plot hole. I believe the first one, that the writers just forgot that Nora had that ability, so they completely just forgot, oh hey, freezing them would totally be a terrible idea, because they can just unfreeze themselves. So yeah, they freeze them and totally just leave them there, not ever finding out that they melt themselves out of the freeze breath, thinking that they'll just stay frozen the entire time until they get back. Not smartly thinking that Nora has heat vision, even though before she's seen her use her heat vision. I know it's for the plot. I know that's one of my rage-inducing moments of the episode is that, oh yeah, Phoebe just comes with a plan to freeze Billy and Nora, not remembering that Nora has heat vision, that she can just melt herself from their heat vision at any time. Anyway, yeah. So they freeze Billy and Nora and go to the movie. And at the movie theater, they meet up with their friend. Yeah, he says, "Hey, Billy and Nora." Frozen kids say, "What?" Then they say, "What?" And then they freeze them. They leave, and then they leave. Nora says she feels a bit bad about this. Phoebe says she feels a bit bad about this, but they leave anyway. So, at the movie theater, they meet up with Phoebe's friends. Phoebe says she thinks it'd be such more fun if they want to hang out once to get a pizza. Cherry says, "That's awesome," but Kelsey says, "Yeah, we'll do it with the guys." And Phoebe's like, "Wait, what?" And then Max is like, "Oh yeah. Let's go hang out at go-karts tomorrow. Let's go hang out at go-karts." And then Oyster says, then Oyster says, "Awesome." And then Gage says, "Yeah, with the girls tomorrow." And then Max is like, "What?" And Max says, "What?" And then Kelsey says, "She's free. Let's all go." Cherry says all weekend they're turning into a fun group. And Cherry says, "Hands in." And Oyster says, he's not doing that. And Cherry says, "Power Rangers. I mean, go group." Okay, yes, I put that Power Rangers in line because in Power Rangers, in Mighty Morphin, they would always raise up their hands and yell Power Rangers before something happened. So since they do that in this episode, I decided to put that in because I found it funny that they say, "Go group." And the Power Rangers say, "Power Rangers." Like, it's a very funny thing. So yeah, Cherry says, "Power Rangers. I mean, go group." And then Oyster says, "That looked awesome. Put him down for the next one." Gideon says the movie's gonna start. Sees them at Wong's. And Cherry says, "Let's stitch it up, bosses." And Cherry says, "Oh no." Phoebe says, "Oh no, what has she done? She's given the group." What has she done? Max says, "She gave the group that they're trying to break up a catchphrase." Phoebe says, "They gotta unstitch those bosses." And Max says, "Let's get into that movie and make them never want to hang out again." Max says, "Hands in. Go buy some tickets." Meanwhile, back in Max's lair, of course, Nora melts herself free because, of course she does. I don't know how Phoebe and Max didn't think this through when they first thought of the freezing them plan. Nora obviously melts, and then Phoebe says, and then Nora melts the freeze vest, saying nobody puts Nora in the freezer. Then she lasers Billy, and Billy asks why his butt's so cold. Then Nora lasers his butt and asks why his butt's so hot. Nora wonders how long they've been frozen, and Colossus pretends like he tries to trick them and pretend that they've been frozen for 50 years. Billy pledges himself to Colossus, and Nora threatens Colossus costumes for Nora and for Phoebe and Max's location. Colossus tells her that they froze them and then went to the movie. And Billy and Nora realize they're home alone for the first time. They can do whatever they want. And they also should be thinking, how did Phoebe really think her plan would backfire like this? Like, how did Phoebe not think that Nora had laser vision? Yes, writers, I'm still not on that. I'm still not off that. I'm still not off that you wrote into the story. Phoebe comes up with a plan to freeze Billy and Nora without not realizing her dumb mistake of not realizing that Nora would obviously be able to melt herself free of the freeze breath. How could that be possible? So yeah, so then they shoot Max's rocket with Nora's laser eyes and then have a couch party. Meanwhile, at the movie theater, Cherry, Kelsey, and Oyster and Gideon are watching the movie while Phoebe and Max spot them. Phoebe says, "Oh, there they are in the middle." Max says, "Look at them all being friends. It makes him sick to his stomach." Max says, "Okay, let's the night of ruining begin." And Max uses this telekinesis to have Oyster, a thing that Oyster bought, spill sauce or red stuff spill over Cherry, and then he's like, "Oyster," and then Cherry's like, and Oyster's like, "Sorry guys," and then Cherry's like, "Look at them, it's like they're covered in zombie guts." And then Phoebe says, "Oh no, they're bonding, and now they're taking a zombie selfie." Kelsey says she couldn't get them all because of her short arms. Because her arms are too short. She wishes Phoebe was here, and Phoebe said, "Max, they need a new plan. If they don't get home soon, Hank and Barb are going to find out they froze Bill." So it says that Max that they froze Billy and Nora, which again, how could you not realize that they wouldn't stay frozen for long, baby? You baka. You idiot. It's done. I'm still angry at that. But anyway, then Then Max says Barb and Hank are at least their problems. And of course, that's when Barb and Hank enter the movie theater with Barb telling Hank how they missed the beginning of the movie. Hank says she knows how he feels about paying for parking. And Phoebe says, is there any chance there's another cheap Hank in complaining Barb in Hinville? Then they look around. Of course, they see it's their parents. And Max says, the movie just got a lot scarier. Phoebe says they have to do something. How can they ruin their friends' nights if their parents are sitting right behind them? Max says if they see them, they won't need friends because they'll be grounded for life for leaving Billy and Nora. Phoebe says, how can the night get any worse? Then Hank puts his foot, I called him Nank, which is funny. Hank put his foot on Phoebe's seat, and Max and Phoebe leave the theater, and Phoebe says, people are so gross, throwing their trash everywhere. And Max says, tell them about it. And Phoebe and Max leave the movie, and Phoebe says, well, they've tried. Phoebe says, they tried. Max says, maybe they're overacting. I know. How close can their friends really get during one movie? And Phoebe gets a text from Cherry saying Gideon just asked the girl to join the band. Max says Oyster would never let that happen. And Max gets a text from Oyster that says, dude, the girls are in the band. By the way, the girls are never in the band. They somehow quit off screen. It's never explained how in this episode how Phoebe and the girls join Max's band. But by the time we see Max's band, Phoebe and the girls are no longer in the band with them. It's never explained how the writers just forgot about that plot point. But anyway, just telling you that Phoebe and the girls somehow quit the band off screen. So anyway, they still continue to be friends as the series goes on. I think in next season we see Phoebe, Cherry, Max, and Oyster all hanging out together, but they're never in the band. Like in season 3, episode 7, Doppelganger, we see the episode started. The episode starts off with Cherry, Oyster, Max, and Phoebe all hanging out together, but they're never seen as band. But when Max's band is together, the girls are never seen with them. So I'm guessing they broke up. They stopped. They decided they didn't want to be in Max's band. I'm just saying. Yeah. Yeah. Max says, this is horrible. Phoebe says, I know. Why didn't they ask her? Then she gets a text saying that Phoebe's in the band. I.e., this is all. But by the time we see Max's band again, they're not in it. So, again, I guess they just quit being in Max's band off screen. Max says, nobody's in the band. Then we get a flash forward of them as old people being in Max's band. I told you this joke would get annoying. I completely skipped this scene because it holds nothing. So, after the ending of the flash forward, Phoebe says that she'd rather get grounded than spend the rest of her life rocking to the oldies with Max. Max says he doesn't want to get grounded. He won't get grounded if they don't go into the movie theater. Phoebe says this would be a lot faster if he told her his plan. But Paramount Plus, for some reason, said the subtitle said if Max said that this will be a Lost faster, which was super funny when I saw it. It said Lost faster, but Phoebe was actually saying a lot faster, not Lost. But it's kind of funny when the Paramount Plus subtitles completely mess up what the character's actually trying to say, because the Paramount Plus subtitles are really bad. But anyway, they really need to get this fixed. But that was just funny. Saying Lost faster, that's funny. a lot faster. Max told her his plan. Max says just follow him. Meanwhile, back at Thunderhouse, Nora, with full makeup on, says Hank's gonna love the couch and the TV being in the kitchen because it makes sense. Then a soccer ball rolls by. A soccer ball gets kicked near the plate, and Nora yells at Billy for throwing the soccer ball at the plate. And Billy says sorry, he can't score against a stuffed raccoon. And Nora says she was just gonna say nice shot because she broke some stuff and found Barb's magic money card because they're 9 and 11. Of course, they think Barb's credit card is a magic money card. But Billy says they can buy whatever they want, and it's not. And she says, and Nora says they can turn Max's lair into a ball pit. Billy says, how are they gonna trick some adult into letting them use Barb's credit card? So Nora and Billy decide to get on top of each other and wear a trench coat, and they have a ball pit guy come in and basically pay him to, by pretending to be Barb, to give them a ball pit and Max's lair. So Nora gets So meanwhile at the movie theater, Phoebe and Max are getting to the projector room to change the zombie rating to a movie that's so lame their friends will want to leave. Phoebe says, what about an airplane movie? And Max says, well, once your parents are both in the airplane business, so yeah, that would not make them leave. So he's like, this movie, Yawnimal. And the movie is so boring that even Phoebe yawns at this after reading the synopsis. And she's like, this is perfect. So they put it in, and everyone starts yawning, and Oyster says, this is not what the movie we paid for. And Cherry said, why'd they switch the movie? And Kelsey's like, this is not the movie she paid for. And Cherry, because she's not smart, says, yeah, Yawnimal, now I get it. Cherry, I thought season 2 was supposed to make you better than your season 1 self, where you kind of acted a bit smart, but that made you regress to your season 1 self where you're kind of dumb. Anyway, so Barb says that she'll decide to handle this and tells Hank who's asleep, because it's Hank. So they look at this. Phoebe and Max are in the projector room looking at this, and Phoebe says, Cherry texts your yawny face. Max said, mission accomplished. Let's go home and unfreeze Billy and Nora because I still think they're frozen. Come on, guys, are you that dumb? How would you not? You really think that they'd be frozen all the time? Did you totally forget that they have that Nora has heat vision? This whole joke with Billy and Nora with them still thinking Billy and Nora are still frozen is kind of annoying me. Aside from that, they say they'll unfreeze the kids and never talk to each other again. But Barb shows up, so Max and Phoebe have to have fake voices and spoil the ending of the movie. So she doesn't discover them. So they decide to jump out by using the projector window, but of course Phoebe gets stuck. So Max has to spray butter on her to get her out of there. Meanwhile, in Max's lair, Billy and Nora are joining the ball pit supply when Claudio pretends to be a shark to scare them. Meanwhile, at the movie theater again, that scene was just all that. The whole ball pit scene was kind of them enjoying the ball pit. Claudio pretends to be a shark and says he got them, and then that's it. I kind of had no explaining to have further lines on the script because it was kind of just they get scared. They enjoy the ball pit slide. They enjoy the ball pit in Max's lair, and that's it. Anyway, meanwhile at the movies, they jump out of the movie theater window to see their friends left, but go out to see their friends are taking selfies. Max whines saying, "Why are they still here?" I love Max. Just season 2 is, and that was a funny scene. But whines about why they are still here. Phoebe can't believe it's their worst night, and they won't stop hanging out together. Max says maybe it's time they do the right thing, ditch these losers, and get new friends. I love you, Max. Phoebe and Max hide when they see Barb getting kicked out of the movie theater. The movie theater usher tells Barb, she says, "Ma'am, I'm gonna get your husband." And she says, "Oh no, you didn't call her ma'am. She's definitely she's younger she's definitely a younger lady." Like, that was not funny. I'm sorry, Laura. I think Rosa Blasky had better comedic potential in episode 11 because that was just not funny. Anyway, aside from that. So, yeah. So, Kelsey says, "This is a weird night, but it was great fun." Cherry says, you know what makes the name better? Then Gideon hits on them like he did previously. He put his armor on Cherry, but then Cherry knocked it up, took his armor off her, and he looked at Kelsey, writing to do it. So now here he's hitting on them again, because guess what? Gideon's a pervert. I still don't get why in episode 11 why Gideon wasn't there at the party. Max said that his band was playing, but it was only him and Oyster at the party. But Gideon and Angus were part of the band. Even though Angus' last appearance is in episode 17 before being replaced by Wolfgang in episode 21, episode 22. Yeah, episode 22. He gets replaced by Wolfgang, and it's never explained why Angus just randomly left Max's band, or why Max randomly decided to replace him. It's never explained. But it's never also explained why Gideon was never invited to Max, why never explained to Teenage Bob and Teenage Hank's party when Max's band was playing, but it was only him and Oyster. But anyway, Gideon's a pervert. We all know it. He hit on Barb in episode 4. He's hitting on Cherry and Kelsey now. He's a pervert. We just know he is. Yeah. So yeah. So Phoebe's. So yeah. So Cherry says. So Cherry says that. Says that it would have made the night even better if Max and Phoebe were there. Phoebe tells Max that it wouldn't be bad if it wouldn't be the end of the world if they were to be in the same group. And Max says if she's in that group, then he'll have to be in the group too. And then they try to text them, but then they hear the text coming from behind the thing. So then this happened. And then they decide. Then they do the whole thing. Then Max says it's not him, but Oyster's like, love it. And then that's how we got that scene. But anyway. So yeah, So yeah, so after seeing Barb and Hank, they realize that they have to go home and first and unfreeze something at home. Meanwhile, then outside the Thunder House, Max is trying to get into the house, but he can't when Barb and Hank show up, and Hank and Barb ask, before Barb and Hank show up, but Hank and Barb show up, Hank asking them what they're doing. They say they're playing hide and seek with Billy and Nora. Hank says that he and Barb had yet another flawless date night, and he even sprung for a double feature. Nothing too good for his wife. Barb tells Hank to open the door. He does, with all the ball from the ball pit falling out. Billy and Nora come out to say hello. And then when Phoebe and Max realize that Billy and Nora that they left Billy and Nora alone and that they're unfrozen, they say run. They run into the ball pit to end the episode. Okay, I gotta say, probably one of my least favorite episodes of the season. Just the way that they just the flash forward joke ran too long, and the Billy and Nora, them thinking Billy and Nora, Phoebe's plan to freeze Billy and Nora, and them thinking that they were frozen for the entire episode. It just was so. It was just. I don't know, like, it was a plot hole that Phoebe would have just forgotten that Nora had laser eyes. And the way that they realized by the end of the episode that they were frozen the whole time and decide to run into the house to end the episode, just like, so yeah. We'll have to wait for the end of the season to see which episode gets the worst episode list. This episode or episode 8. Because even though I have a lot of problems with episode 8 for the repetitive, for the story that we've seen many times, like the whole plot of Phoebe and Cherry breaking up, which felt like a thing that we've said so many times. But this episode is bad because just of the whole, Max and Phoebe thought Billy and Nora were frozen the whole time thing. Like, that ruined it. And also ruined it was the 2 times they showed the flashbacks of them being old. We only needed one flash forward to get that they think that. We didn't need 2 of them. Like, so yeah. This episode shows that even though the show even though the last episode was really good, you can really you can't always win with your episodes. Because Meet the Evil Man was really good, and yeah, we even get a weird episode, like episode 16, where Phoebe crushes on a guy. Like, episode 16 was made before episode 13, Meet the Evil Men's in production code. So in that episode, Phoebe crushes on a guy, has an app to tell her which guy is cute, despite at that point already having a boyfriend, because the episode was made prior, but aired after. The episode was made prior to Meet the Evil Man, but Nickelodeon aired it after, so it kind of makes Phoebe look like if you watch it after, it kind of makes Phoebe look like a cheater, that she's still looking for a boyfriend despite having one. But if you know that's technically alright, that was production wise, that it was made before, that its production code was made before Meet the Evil Man, it kind of makes sense why Phoebe's looking at a guy saying he's cute, because it was before she met Link and started dating Link. But if you watch it after Meet the Evil, but if you watch it since it was aired after Meet the Evil, like 3 episodes after Meet the Evil Man, you kind of see it like Phoebe's cheating on her boyfriend by looking for another guy, but that's not the case. Can't wait to get that episode, because that episode is interesting. But yeah, next episode we got another Max and Phoebe competition episode. Synopsis of the episode is Max tries to make an epic fail video, tries to win Chirper's epic fail video, but in doing so, he does it to Phoebe, but when he posts it without her consent, she loses her ballet opportunity. So now Phoebe and also Gideon's in it. He hits on Phoebe and starts to call Phoebe his girlfriend. It's even though he and Phoebe are totally not dating, and Phoebe already has a boyfriend by that point. But anyway, aside from that, is that Phoebe has to now tell her ballet teacher that thing that she saw wasn't really true, and also we see Max in a black swan outfit, because, but anyway, that's for next time. By the way, I'm sorry, Neverending Story. You could have been a good episode, but you weren't, because you ran a joke into the ground until it wasn't funny. You made unnecessary flash forwards twice that were also not funny. And Max and Phoebe, this is another episode where Max and Phoebe come off as jerks and totally try to break up their friendship. They do learn a lesson by the end by having it make it realize, maybe their friends are good together, but that doesn't ruin the episode. So yeah, this episode is terrible. This episode gets a T for terrible. Maybe next episode, You've Got Fail, will be a better episode than this one, because this episode's just bad. But anyway, see you next time.